I want to introduce you to two very special friends of mine. This is Todd and Tracy Randolphs, and we want to share a little about their story. It's actually hard for me to believe that a year ago, we both happened to be, we know Todd and Tracy from way back in the day. They used to volunteer with Shift and Altar back in the day, and then it's 2011. 2011, they moved to Houston, Texas, and we never saw them again, so that was kind of a sad day.
An hour and a half from College Station.
But yeah, we won't talk about that. But last year, it was interesting. We happened to be, our family was down at Panama City Beach, and their family happened to be there at the same time, and saw, a post on Facebook, and Todd texted me saying, hey, you guys want to go to dinner? We're like, oh, we haven't seen each other in, 5 years, 6 years at this point. Let's go grab some dinner. And so a year ago, this week, we were having dinner together and talking about your life in Texas and kind of some of your stuff that was going on. And who knew a year later we'd be sitting up here. So would you share a little bit about that story and how did you end up coming to Georgia and God at work and all that?
You want to take this? So it's been, I guess, 6 years. We took the opportunity to move to Houston, and it was for my job. And one of the things that we wanted when we moved back, we were desperately going to seek finding a church family similar to what we had when we were here. And it was a very big struggle for us. And you could probably play the first 5 minutes of the Buck Walters video, and that was our life. We felt like we were in a desert. We were in a lonely place, and we weren't doing the things that we needed to do for our own children from a faith perspective. And so, there were even opportunities where I said, are we in the right place? And questioning everything. And then all of a sudden, God just started laying things out before us. And I don't even think it was a question of whether or not we were seeking. He was just like going to throw it in front of us and say, I'm going to make you see it. And so Tracy and I, about 8 months ago, started talking about where we wanted to be and having a church family and all those things. And then the opportunity just presented itself through work. And where 7 years ago when we moved away, our company didn't even have an office here. And now it's one of the bigger offices in the city, and an opportunity to come back and work here. And long way to go there, still needs to be settled, but nonetheless, God was laying those things out before us just for us to get back. And so over the summer, we started pursuing that goal to get back.
And what were some of it was almost like miraculous somewhat. Like you guys started saying, this may be the move that God has for us. We want to go back and have community and have a church family. And you kind of already had a ton of people here at Rising Church. You lived in the neighborhood with like 5 people, 5 families here. And so, or back in the day. And so how did you see God at work paving the way ahead of you so that you could, you mentioned your job, but what else happened? I know there was a lot more involved there.
You want me to go?
Well, no, I can add there, I'm a problem solver, and I want a solution, and I want a plan, and I want every detail planned out. So with a move, and so quickly, there's so much to be taken care of, and it seemed like, okay, we had to take one step at a time. One day it was, okay, pray for this, and then by that night or the next morning, that prayer would be answered, and then that happened the next day, and finally after 2 or 3 days, your head's spinning on what solutions to do. I'm like, okay, I'm done. God has this. He's like, we got this. Everything that I saw as a roadblock or a problem or whatever, somebody from Rising was like, we got it. We got this. No matter what it was, how big or how small, somebody stepped up and was like, we'll take care of this. It's done. So I felt like I finally, after 2 or 3 days, just sat back and said, okay, I'm just along for the ride. And wherever God, lays out, it's going to work out.
Yeah, to add to that, I called Aaron up and said, hey, look, here's what we're dealing with. Can we start to pray over this? And so Aaron and I were praying, texting back and forth, and then Aaron finally came back and said, hey, do you want us to get the prayer team involved and the elders of the church? I'm like, absolutely, I'll take any prayer that we can get. And as Tracy said, just some little things. We knew when we came back we were going to put our kids in a school that was different than where we were. We wanted smaller. We wanted a community just like we wanted here. But if anyone's ever tried to buy a home in Beaufort or even rent one, with a week out from school starting, it seems impossible. And we just weren't finding anything. So one day, two crazy things. I go out on LinkedIn and we'd been looking at this neighborhood and I'm like, I'm gonna reconnect. And here's the very first name that pops up is Tim Arnold. I'm like, well, Tim Arnold, D.R. Horton, that's the neighborhood we're looking at. So I called Tim up and reached out to him. And then we're looking for a rent house and just somewhere, a place to get to. And there literally, it felt like there was nothing. And I found this house was for sale. Maybe it's still for rent when I looked it up. And there it was. It was under Stacy Dear Goddess's name. And so I'm like, well, I'm calling Stacy. We spent time praying for Stacy a long time ago. I'm going to call her and reintroduce myself. And sure enough, the gentleman that was selling his house, it had been rented for years and years and years. He said, I'm willing to rent it to you. And then he basically rented it out to us so our kids, we would have a contract to get our kids through the year at Beaufort in the schools. And then he came back to us and said, I'm going to take the house off the market. So until your house is done being built, you'll have a place to stay and you don't have to worry about it. And so whether it was school or whether it was church or whether it was, reconnecting, God had just clearly laid this whole thing out. And I think to Brian and Becky's point, as soon as we knew we were coming back, this was like July 29th and school will start on August 2nd, I think. And we're like, we're going to go to Rising Weekend too. Everything was.
Well, yeah, when we signed up, I don't even think we had a house over our head yet or like actual plans to be here, but we're like, we're going to that.
Yeah. And didn't something happen with your job, like school started? And
yeah, it was, I think, just 2 or 3 days before school started. Of course, I'm frantically looking for a job. Like new teachers had already started, and I think there were only like 2 openings, that fit what I could do, and one of them happened immediately, and again, that prayer was answered right away.
Shortest interview ever. We were told to hire you, so here's your job.
Well, and another thing, there were 2 openings, and the one that I ended up getting was the one I was actually praying against, because it was something that I was terrified to do, and I thought, I don't want this. Please don't let it be this one. Please don't let it be this one. And it is amazing. It is just perfect. It's such a great place to be.
Yeah, it's been a journey. It's been hectic. It's been fast paced. It's not over. I still commute back and forth. The way my job is set up, I have clients. I have to take care of them. But ultimately, there's hopefully a transition plan in place eventually that I don't know if I'll ever not have to go there, but once a month as opposed to every other week at this point. But at the same time, it's God has blessed us with this opportunity from a work perspective to say, hey, look, you're going to travel right now, but at the same time, it's giving us the ability to do what we need to do to give to a church to be able to come back and do those things. I'll tell you, I was sitting in church today and I just felt this big. And I finally realized that, as much as, and I don't mind traveling. I used to like it, but I really don't like traveling for work anymore. But this is kind of my sigh. It's letting my shoulders down. And it's, I feel this huge sense of relief when I'm here. I feel the presence of God. I feel the presence of so many people and the hugs and the laughter and, and the handshakes and, the fun ribbing when A&M beats LSU, and I was gonna earn A&M into more answers today, but I figured I wouldn't. But nonetheless, it's such a welcoming and warm place, and I love telling people about it. I want to make others envious of the church that we have and the family that we have. It's really not even church. It's really family. It's a gathering, and I'm truly grateful. That God has, brought us back here and to a family that are all believers. They believe in prayer and they believe in the power of prayer and what it can do, and truly grateful for that.
So last question as we kind of wrap it up. Why? It's like, and I know it's hard because you're still in the middle. You're still in the middle of the story, right? But if you were to, why do you think God orchestrated all this so that you could move here? Like, what do you think he's up to? Maybe it's too early to say that, but like, what do you feel like, if God is your Heavenly Father, and he's a good Father, and he's looking at you guys, and he's like guiding your steps, your path, so you can be here, like, in a minute, why?
I don't talk in a minute for anything. All my neighbors are laughing.
See that red clock right
yeah,
there?
I see it. I'm done. Man, that's tough. This is one of the things I do love about this church is we're vulnerable and we're accountable to each other. I personally believe, for me, let me have a check moment here. I think it's to be a better parent. I think he's teaching Tracy and I something as well, probably me more than anything, that we're here to guide our children. We're here to provide them a place of worship and faith and hope and love, and we were just in a place that everything seems good on the front, but deep down in, we're hurting, and we needed a change. Really, this is a really long answer. I mean, because there are a lot of things that were transpiring over the past year, even leading up to this, in my own mind, my own heart, and where we were, and had any of those changes occurred, the job opportunity wouldn't have been here. And so, God was clearly laying a path for us to say, you need to be there for your family, you need to be there for your children, you need to be there for each other, and you need a place in a family of worship to do that. And I believe that's why he brought us back.
Tracy, you want to add anything? Or?
No, we covered it.
All right. So was it an accident that we happened to be in Panama City Beach a year ago? Do you think?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
All right, can we give these guys a hand? Thank them for sharing their little story.